Everybody's still coming in. I see Clay and Sandy there, or sorry, Directors McCormick and Brander, sorry. I think we're in good communication now.
Yes, thank you, Chair. We're in session. Very
good. All this the Regional District Planning Committee meeting for Wednesday, February the 7th already. We've seen a lot of each other lately, so appreciate we got some directors appearing virtually. I want to acknowledge that we're working on the traditional territory of the Coast Salish, and welcome everybody. We don't have any folks in the audience yet. First order of business is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion? Born. I see Director McCormick, second. Thank you. Is there any discussion? Don't see any. All in favor? Yeah, a little delay there, so I'll wait a little bit when I call these things so I can see, but that was passed. Thank you. Next order of business, adoption of the minutes. Moved. Thank you. So I see a seconder for Director Brander. Thank you. All in favor of the agenda. That is carried as well. No delegations or inquiries. I don't think anything's popped up, so that's good. No unfinished business. We're on to correspondence, and just for folks watching, we typically have the correspondence listed and it's available for people to see. But I do, as I'm learning, I in talking to folks periodically, I'm going to point a few things out, not really even to make a motion, but just let people know to check these things, because we do read the correspondence that's received from all over levels of government and folks that are sending things in. So I just want to acknowledge that there's several pieces here, including from Savary Island and Krompocker in my area. So just letting people know that if they want to see the correspondence, check it out online. Is there any business arising from correspondence, Director Gisborne?
Yeah, 6.1, I kind of have a few questions and the result in business.
Okay, should we?
Through the chair, why don't we address the questions, and then if there is going to be a motion, we will move that to business arising.
Can we do that now?
Yes, you could do that.
Okay, great. Maybe we'll let you ask your question on 6.1 then.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about our OCPs and housing and reform, and it fits with our strategic plan of our priorities around residential flexibility and what we're going to do going forward. And one of the challenges is always how much does it cost to update OCPs and policies and all this kind of stuff. And the 6.1 is correspondence from the province giving us $124,000 to help us with changing housing policies. And I'm just kind of wondering what's our plan with $124,000 and how we can. I'm kind of curious to hear from staff, and maybe there needs to be some direction from the planning committee, because that's not a small chunk of change.
No, I'm sure we got some questions maybe for the CAO. I could ask you since the letter was addressed to you, or do we?
No, I'd like to refer this question to Laura, because I think she's already on top of it.
All right, Ms. Rodden.
Through the chair, yes, the capacity funding is good news, and it will support the regional district to undertake the activities that are required by the province. And so it's intended to support activities or projects that local governments must undertake. And staff have been participating in all the webinars that the province has been rolling out. And there's also a Lidstone housing law workshop running today that we're participating in. And so clarity I have so far is that there will be a requirement to meet the new requirements for housing needs reports. Now that may sound crazy because we've just completed an update to our housing needs report. But the province is going to be rolling out new requirements. And until those are received and analyzed, I'm not certain what we might have to undertake another update to our housing needs report in 2024. Okay. This funding would allow us to contract that work out. beyond that, the only other requirement that I can foresee at this point is for the area of Lund. Because Lund is an area that has sewer servicing and water servicing. And the water service is sitting in limbo right now. But I think, yeah, but there might be a need to pursue some of the development financing tools that are available through this new housing legislation, and capacity or infrastructure upgrades in Lund, et cetera. So that could be something maybe in 2025. We have until 2025 to spend the funding, or it has to be returned. And we're working on a report, Julia Dykstra and I, that'll come forward next month that will provide some clarity on what the requirements are and what the discretionary powers are.
So it is a use it or lose it by 2025 situation, it looks like. And from the letter that was received, it seems a little bit open-ended. I think to your point about we're still learning about each area, how you can use the funds, because it lists like OCPs, all these different amenity cost charges and things. So I guess stay tuned for the report. Yes, Ms. Rodden.
I do know for certain that the obligation to update the OCPs is not a requirement for regional districts. Okay. And the province recognizes that regional districts have multiple official community plans, and it would be completely too onerous, and just the resources don't allow for updating those in 1 year. So that requirement only applies to municipalities.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, sorry, that's a good point actually for folks that read this. Oh, OCP, and even for us to understand. So thanks for that, and we will stay tuned for the report. Any other questions?
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to the staff report next month. I found the LGLA to be very informative. I think there was even some confusion down there. There was a kind of an understanding that regional districts had to update their OCPs, and electoral area directors were going like, how is this possible in such a short time frame? I did have a chance to speak with one of the presenters that spoke about the legislation from, I believe, Young Anderson. And the concept came up in conversation about like the floor area ratio that's being used in Sechelt. And in relation to this legislation, and my understanding was switching to that floor area ratio allowed them to like step essentially past the legislation, because the province is saying, well, you have to allow 2 dwellings or 3 dwellings or 4 dwellings, and that by going to the floor area ratio, they're actually going, well, we're not saying how many dwellings you can or cannot have, and therefore those changes essentially no longer restrict like the local government's ability, because they're going to a new standard. And because this is a significant amount of money, I would like to, I hope in our staff report we can see how we can use as much of this grant as possible, because yeah, if we don't use it, we'll lose it. And if we can get some consultants in to update some of the OCPs in relation to housing, use the money as best we can, because I would hate to have to return it to the province. So looking forward to the staff report in March, which is also good news, because yesterday's finance committee, we have kind of pushed back our budget adoption deadline, and therefore with the staff report, we could probably work out this $124,000 into our budget.
Yeah, thank you for your comments. And we did learn last week at our Leadership Academy a lot of discussion on capacity for local governments to take action on the new rules that come into play. And this is, Ms. Rodden's correct, this is good news, and hopefully it's never enough, but it's a good news story. Any other questions on this topic? All right, any other business arising from correspondence? I'm just going to mention 6.4 quickly. It is a letter about the Krompocker Road proposed zoning bylaw, and just wanted staff to remind everybody listening, when is our public hearing, Ms. Rodden? I think I know.
Through the chair, the public hearing is confirmed for March the 13th at 7 p.m. at the Northside Recreation Center.
Great, so folks can come out to that as well. Thank you for that.
Is there an agricultural advisory committee between now and then? Because there is some reference to agricultural advisory committee in the correspondence.
Who could answer the schedule of the agricultural? Oh, Ms. Rodden.
There is no agricultural advisory committee meeting scheduled at this point in time. Julia Dykstra did attend a provincial workshop with the chair of the advisory committee yesterday with Dave Murphy, and there's no reason to call a meeting. We don't have any applications or need to meet with the committee at this time.
Okay, just the correspondence is referring to regulations in relation to the zoning bylaw on agricultural land. My understanding is the agricultural advisory committee is for any proposed regulations on agricultural land. So I think that's where there's some concern. And I share the concern as well. So
yeah, we're listening for sure. Okay, great. Thanks for that. We'll move on to section 8, reports. I'm just going to read this out for folks. It's a referral for a communication site application in Gillies Bay on Texada Island. The Ministry of Forests, there's an application before them that needs our either support or not for a communication site by City West Management Corp on behalf of Connected Coast Project in Gillies Bay. And there are 2 conditions that go with the application: ensuring minimal disturbance to the foreshore and coastline during the installation phase, and the applicant's required to provide appropriate signage about the project, the Connected Coast Project, at the location, and outline the duration of the construction and ensure the public has adequate notice.
so moved.
A seconder, Director McCormick, I see you there.
No, I think
Sorry.
she's trying to be recognized.
Oh, I'm sorry, Director McCormick.
Yes, I'll move the recommendation.
Sorry, a bit of a lag there. I'll let Director Gisborne second that if you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Great discussion. Yes, Director McCormick.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. It's a good location for them to have selected for the landing hub for the Connected Coast Project in Gillies Bay. There's a TV tower that's already located there, and it's beyond where the most of the houses are at the end of Sanderson Road. So I think it's a really good location. I do have one question though, and that is, I actually have 2 questions. One, because the ALR, if there is, I believe it's ALR land, I'm not sure about that, but one question is there any ALR or ALC involvement in this? And also the main question I have is, what does the thing look like when it's installed? Is it a tower, a box? What can staff give us any sense of what it is we're going to be looking at the end of the day?
Yeah, so I think there's 2 questions there. Who wants to take that one? Ms. Dykstra, maybe? I see you there. Yes.
Thank you, through the chair. Can I be heard?
Yes.
Thank you. The proposed landing site drawings and the structure on the beach, on the foreshore, they don't show any drawings on private land. And the second question about what it looks like, I've seen some photos of installation boxes, and they have 2 versions. One is an installation box on the ground, which is about 2 feet by 2 feet in ground with a metal plate cover. And then the other type of structure that they have is on a post beside the BC Hydro pole. So there is it generally looks like an electrical box posted beside the BC Hydro pole.
Yes, Ms. Director McCarthy.
Yeah, thanks. So then, do we have any photos? I would really like to be able to share with people what the thing is going to look like. Also the one in Vananda, because I've been asked that question and I honestly don't know the answer. So I'm wondering if it's possible to send us photos, and also, is it possible to find out which type of instruments they're going to use for these 2 projects, Gillies Bay and Vananda? Can we identify what the thing is it's going to be there in place.
Yeah, I think we can ask staff if they can reach out for that, and I think you're right, we've had some of this information, if I remember last year sometime on a different application and had some representative pictures, I think, but to Director McCormick, people are gonna wanna know what's gonna be there, Ms. Dykstra.
Thank you
Thank
to the chair. I am able to share my screen with the photos that Connected Coast sent from the last application, if that would please the committee.
Sure,
please.
just for a quick look, be good. Right.
That looks familiar.
Okay. That was just a quick look. Director McCormick, would you like a little bit more follow-up on that one?
Yes, please. If it's possible to send out a couple of photos, and if it's possible to find out from the Connected Coast people which type of installation they're going to use at these locations.
Do we
Or
need
this
a motion
location.
for that? No.
Just email. Okay.
Yes, Director Gisborne.
Okay. Yeah, my question, I know it's not really entirely in our wheelhouse. What is the crabbing and prawning activity just off the shore? Because I'm sure you might have seen the news of City West had their cable interrupted between Prince Rupert and Haida Gwaii because of crabbing activity broke the line. I did some prawn fishing on that side of the island, but not at that location. So,
well, I would first, let staff answer, but I think that the Ministry of Forests, part of their consideration is the submarine part of this equation. So, Director McCormick, was that a question or a comment?
Well, sure. Yeah, there's crabbing and prawning that goes on in season, of course, which I don't believe it is the right season right now. So there's no issues right now. And I guess that's part of my curiosity is, what the whole thing will physically be like, both the part that you see on the land and also the part that's underwater. I'd appreciate some clarity about that because we've had lots of information from the Connected Coast people, but not a lot of information about what at the end of the day is going to be there. And that's the thing that people are asking about. So yeah, I would appreciate clarity about that.
Yeah, thanks. It is a good point. If you think about the different locations that they've already announced, they're all geologically different. Some of it's hard rock and other parts of it is sand. So. Yes.
Yeah, because that's my one concern is if you lay the cable in a good crabbing spot or a good prawning spot, and you can have all the signs in the world, and folks go out in season, and next thing you know, someone's pulling up a crab trap and goes, "Man, this thing is heavy," and they pull up a telecommunications cable.
Well, let's like I say, hopefully the ministries involved are taking this into consideration.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions, comments on the topic? Nope. All right, all those in favor of the recommendation? Motion is carried. Any new business? Anyone? Going once, twice? No? Question period. Do we have the media or anyone else?
Thank you, Chair. The media is here. With regard to the just concluded item regarding the communications site, I'm wondering if staff has any indication of the kinds of uploads and download speed that Texada Islanders will have if the installation goes through.
Right. Well, I think Ms. Dykstra can probably answer that. We're hoping it's 50-10 from the information that we have learned so far. Ms. Dykstra.
Thank you, through the chair. The applicant states that they are not providing internet service, but rather installing the fiber optic infrastructure for service providers to access, should a service provider choose to supply that service.
Good point. So it's not the actual service and the speed and all that, it's the actual infrastructure to get you the service.
I appreciate that, Chair. Obviously, then an internet service provider would need to plug into it to make it all work.
Bingo.
Thank you, Chair, for the opportunity to ask questions.
Great. I don't see any in-camera session. We are adjourned. See you next time.
Director McCormick,
Yes.
can you just check your email and then give me a call if you